How's it going, everybody? I'm your host, the Carolina Collector. Before I begin, I want to say thank you so much to my friends, family, neighbors, YouTube viewers and subscribers and supporters across the board, my eBay customers. All of you are amazing, wonderful human beings. I deeply appreciate the support. If you like what you see and you enjoy the content, if you haven't done so already, smash that like button, comment in the comment section below, hit the bell to receive notifications. And of course, ultimately, subscribe. It helps the channel to grow. Also, check out my eBay store, the Carolina Collector 001, where I'm selling loose sports cards and various other items from time to time. Thank you so much to my eBay customers. I have another rather large order I have to process and fulfill. Thank you again, friends, family, neighbors, all of you across the board are just amazing. So, before you pull out your pitchforks and decide to cancel me, let me just, throw a little bit of context out there. I watched a video that Geoff Wilson of Cards HQ just released. Yeah, I'm well aware of the whole taint scandal. I love watching him rip open vintage wax and get burnt. I love watching him crack open graded slabs of said wax packs and he gets burned. He opens up high-end cards to try to have them graded by PSA and he gets burned. It's entertaining for all of us because it's like, it's like watching somebody learning how to swim for the first time. You know what I mean? And just splashing water everywhere. It's funny. I mean, I don't know if he does that as a self-own or what have you, but, after the whole taint scandal with him, a lot of collectors have been scrutinizing him and, it's funny to watch. But this one video, I have to say, that he made on his other channel, the Geoff Wilson Show, actually has some merit to it. And he was talking about trying to sell and or purchase rare sports cards. Please forgive me for the background noise like usual. There's always some sort of subterfuge going on around me. In this case, it's my dishwasher. But anyway, at least I'm a human being, you know what I mean? But I have to agree with him. And again, before you pull out your pitchforks and go on a canceling campaign, hear me out. Because I have an example of one such card, which is up on my eBay stores page right now. And that's this. My 2023 Gunnar Henderson Topps Chrome Lids Mitchell & Ness Red Refractor out of 5. Graded SGC 9.5. So I have an example of this. So he talked about parallels and rare cards, how difficult it is to sell, and that there's no selling history or buying history behind the cards. It's just like this card right here. As far as I'm aware, I'm the only one that has a Gunnar Henderson Red out of 5 of this set of this type with this grade from this grading company. And there's a lot of factors behind this. For example, he alongside with Corbin Carroll were both voted Rookie of the Year in 2023. 2024 and 2025 have not been good seasons for the Baltimore Orioles. Jackson Holliday, Colton Cowser, Adley Rutschman, and him have all had horrible seasons. Gunnar Henderson's been talking to the media. They're not sure what to do with him, if he's even going to be an Oriole next season. He's been injured, and it's just been awful for the Orioles across the board. I myself have sold off many of my personal Orioles cards. I had a Jackson Holliday Bowman Chrome Shimmer out of 25 orange color match that I sold off because I saw the writing on the wall that they're not going anywhere. And a lot of people, a lot of collectors in the space, follow these type of trends. What Gunnar Henderson talking in the media and everything like that, really raises a lot of skepticism about his future, which is what caused me, like with the Anthony Volpe Red out of 5 from this set that I sold off to a customer on eBay. The Yankees' performances were lackluster last year, especially after the All-Star break. Volpe himself has really slumped. So a lot of things have been happening, with a lot of these players. Corbin Carroll, his sophomore year, his second year in Major League Baseball wasn't all that great, and because of injuries and whatnot, it affected his performances. Though this past season here in 2025, he had significantly improved. Was smacking home runs again, stealing bases like he's renowned for. He changed his batting stance to correct, whatever was causing his injuries and all that kind of stuff, or trying to at least improve upon, trying to limit his injuries and what have you. So he improved his batting stance and he started to improve. And he's up for all kinds of awards. If he hasn't won awards by now through the Arizona Diamondbacks, at least being nominated for that kind of stuff, it kind of bumps up the value of a lot of his cards. Man, I've sold off patch autos of his and other autograph cards and parallels left and right, and I only have maybe like one or two more left in my PC of Corbin Carrolls. But compared to Gunnar Henderson, he still holds a little bit of his value, even though his value has dropped off. Arizona really didn't perform well. His performances, like I said, have dropped off, even though he has improved in his third season in Major League Baseball. He's still a shadow of what he was in his rookie year. But then you have a guy like Gunnar Henderson, who, is talking to the media, where a lot of skepticism now is being generated. What does his future hold? He was injured. The Orioles had a bad season. All these young guys, they really underperformed. So the expectation isn't there anymore. Gunnar is a powerhouse, but at the same time, what does his future hold as far as his cards are concerned? And this is where Geoff Wilson makes some good points. There are a lot of red parallels from different sets across the hobby space. If you go on eBay, you'll probably see more than a dozen red out of fives of different types. Autos, patch autos, relics, and of course base refractors like this. It's not quite a color match, but it's fairly close to the colors of the Baltimore Orioles uniform. In an SGC holder like this, it looks great. People have their feelings about SGC. I'm well aware of what's going on with SGC, how PSA plucked away a lot of the graders that were grading SGC cards, and certain collectors have certain feelings about the holders in and of themselves, whether they retain their value or not, or they're too big, they're too thick, they're too this, they're too thick. Some collectors are fucking goofy. It's holdered, isn't it? You know what I mean? I'm one of them guys who really doesn't make a big deal out of a lot of the grades like some guys do. Oh, I got a 7. I got a 7. Oh my God, I really thought this was a 10. It was a 10. Use one of these, jackasses. That's a, let me see if I have a piece of paper to highlight this thing. That's a centering tool. Prepare your cards properly before you ship them off, and maybe you'll get 9s and 10s. Use a centering tool. I do, and it works for me. I have no complaints with my grades. I've got 9s and 10s that I've talked about here on the channel. Sometimes I got 8.5s, like with the Barry Bonds auto I pulled on camera. I knew going into it that it was going to be off-centered. I talked about it when I pulled that card. It came back a 10, 8.5 from SGC. Oh well, still floating around the $1,000 range in that grade in an SGC holder, which I'm completely content with. It came out of a $12 hanger box, so who's complaining? But Geoff Wilson is correct. There are all different kinds of Barry Bonds autos of different varieties on different parallels, and there are prices that you can comp. Like if I were to sell that card, I already know what I can comp it for because there are sales of it to go by. A card like this, you don't see many sales of, but there are other red out of 5 refractors that I base my sale off of, so it takes a little bit of homework and research to try to figure out what it is that I can sell this for. I will not sell this thing for less than what I'm asking for now on eBay. I just lowered the price of this thing to $389. And that's going against other red out of 5s that are chrome, whether they're Topps or Bowman, and whatever set they're coming from. So I went from the low end of the spectrum and priced this accordingly, because that's the only reference material I have to price out this card. Yes, it's a 9.5. Yes, it's in an SGC holder. Yes, the Orioles had a bad season. Yes, Gunnar Henderson and the rest of his teammates have underperformed. He's been suffering with injuries, performance issues, and he's talking to the media, in a slightly negative light. Those things matter when it comes to card values. Unlike somebody like a Hall of Famer like Ken Griffey Jr., obviously, who his cards have skyrocketed in value. I've talked about this here on the channel. A recent sale of a Ken Griffey Jr. card has now sold for $5,300. And a BGS 10 had recently sold for more than $8,000. That makes me want to cross over my PSA cards to BGS. But then I know many of you are going to say, well, you shouldn't do that because reasons. Well, it's because I'll be removing some of the population from PSA and increasing the population to BGS, which may drop the card value down maybe slightly, but there aren't many of these Ken Griffey Jr.'s graded in a BGS 10 pristine. Who knows? Mine might get that, and my card might be $8,500 as well. Who knows? That's the beauty of it. You don't know. Try, take a risk. But because my cards are PSA 10s in certain slabs, I'm not going to risk it. I can if I want to, and if I choose to, but I won't, because if it's not broken, don't fix it. Leave it as is. I mean, hey, $5,300, still a lot of money if I decided to sell my Ken Griffey Jr. Star Rookie. But there is no basis to go by when it comes to a card like this, except to compare it to other red out of fives. And unfortunately, pardon me, there are a couple that are selling for $400 and less, regardless and despite whether they're slabbed or not, which tells me that the market for Gunnar Henderson red out of fives has significantly changed since his rookie year. And again, I refer to the fact that he's talking to the media. He's been hurt. There's talk that he might be leaving and going somewhere else next season. There's all this speculation. The Orioles were horrible, this season. Again, Jackson Holliday, Colton Cowser, Adley Rutschman, and him all underperformed. So that can affect card values as well. And that's why I priced this guy the way I did. But I have no real basis or other red out of fives that are exactly like this. I've never seen the other 4 of these cards on eBay. So I have no basis for comparison except to compare them to cards in the same price range from the same year with the same number of refractors, in this case the red out of 5. So how do I do this? And I know if I put it up for auction, people think they're going to get this for like $50 or $100. Listen, there are a lot of cheap fucks in this hobby. Let's be real. A lot of cheap fucks that want to get things for cheap. But the flip side of that is I have a lot of loyal customers that, yeah, they resell my cards. Unfortunately, a lot of them are stuck with those cards, but, each to their own. Hey, if I can supply somebody with cards and they can make a little bit more money off of me than what I sold them the cards for, that's capitalism for you. Good for you. I'm happy for that, and I'm happy for the people that do that. Some people just want cards because they want them. They don't care about the value. They just want them, like the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie. I couldn't care less what that thing is worth. It makes me very happy to know I have a elite card in my collection, but I always wanted it because I never had it as a kid. I'm a New York Yankees fan. That's where I'm wearing my Yankees getup. I wanted the Don Mattingly Jr. Topps rookie. I currently have one. One sold recently, I think, for $1,600 in a PSA 10. As a fan of the Yankees, I always wanted a Don Mattingly, a Donnie baseball rookie card. It's too bad he didn't win as a bench coach in a World Series for the Toronto Blue Jays. That really would have helped his card values, because to this day, that poor man, just like Aaron Judge, still does not have a World Series ring. What a tragedy. That's such a tragic story, and maybe another video for another time. But what do you do? And again, I know how a lot of you feel about Geoff Wilson. I have my feelings about him too. He is rather remarkable. He's a blip on the radar when it comes to sports card content creation and sports card hobbyists and conversations and stuff. But in this case, I kind of have to agree with him. How do you price a card like this? How do you go about comping a card like this when there's no other sales to compare it to? There are 4 others of these floating around out there somewhere, and who knows what they're going to price out that card for. The Shohei Ohtani from this set, which was an SGC 9.5, and I talked about how much I wrestled to sell that card because it was one of my favorite cards. It was a California Angels pitching stance of his. That was the photograph that they took of him with that set. He was pitching in an Angels uniform. It was a red out of 5 refractor. It looked really, really nice in an SGC holder, and it sold for like 500 and change or something like that. There's currently a PSA 10 of that card, which the seller is asking for $2,000. He's not going to get that for that price, I can tell you right now. Because it's a California, even though it's his MVP year, it's a California Angels uniform. It's a 2023 card. It's not his rookie card. It's not the batting chrome or anything like that. It's not an auto. It's not a patch auto. It's not a relic. It's a parallel of the regular cards in that set. So, myself, that person, and 3 others who potentially have that card essentially control the market on that card. How do you price it? And how do you be fair? Should you decide to let go of the card, which is what I'm doing with this? How do I be fair? How do I get something out of it that what I put into the card? There's all sorts of questions. So again, Geoff Wilson happens to make a point in this video. What do you do in a case like this where you have no basis for comparison? Essentially what he's talking about is job security, income security. He runs a business, and I know how many of you feel about him and the business model that he uses, But at the same time, you have to look at it from that perspective, especially myself as an eBay seller. And I'm small potatoes. I'm nobody. I'm a little shithead on eBay selling low-end sports cards or mid-range sports cards. But in this case, with the 1 or 2 rare cards that I do sell, what do? And I'm not going to sell these for pennies on a dollar. That's definitely not going to happen, because I know some of you are cheap fucks. Let's just be realistic out there. You're cheap fucks that are going to try to flip this for 10x when I'm selling it for. Some people have, because they're legit and they really don't flip the cards for much more than what they bought them off of me for, and they're entitled to do that. That's their prerogative. I have no problem with that. It makes me proud that I could be somebody else's supplier. But when you're taking a card like this and expect to get it for $50 and then sell it for $1,000, not happening. I may be dumb, but I am not so dumb. So I priced this now at $389 as a buy it now. And it's been sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. And I don't know when it's going to move or if it's going to sell. I've considered taking this down from my listings because I don't know how much longer I can keep it up there, because it's wasting a slot that could be used for another card. But I will not sell this for any cheaper than what I'm selling it for now. It is a red out of 5. He was Rookie of the Year. There still might be some potential along his career should he start to improve. But for right now, the value of his cards, like Anthony Volpe and other cards I've sold in this caliber, have dropped significantly. And I've adjusted my prices for it. But I will not sell this for no $10, $15. Don't even think about it. So I have lowered the price by another $10, and that's probably my absolute bottom. I am not selling it for any less than that, unfortunately. And if people don't like it, well, good luck buying a $14,000 autographed red out of 5 Gunnar Henderson in a PSA 10. You want to lay out $14,000 for a card like that? Be my guest. You want to lay out $5,000 for an out of 5 relic? That's your prerogative. You can do that. This is as dirt cheap as it gets. But the problem is, like I said, there are a lot of different red out of 5s out there, and there are a lot of options. And quite frankly, I mean, to me, I love retro-looking cards like this, but there are other cards that have a lot better eye appeal as well. Eye appeal really also matters to collectors, color matches, things like that. The holder, the player, the type of refractor, how many refractors are currently available, and there are a lot of them that are out there right now, red out of 5s. There's a lot of variety on eBay right now. So it's a tough call, very tough call as a seller to try to sell off a card like this. As a collector, it's nice to know that there's a lot of variety. Should I change my mind about this card, I can always consider buying another card that appears more to my eyes than anything. But it's a tough call when you're trying to sell these cards. So what do you think, folks? Let me know in the comments section below what you think about this particular topic. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Check out my eBay store, the Carolina Collector 001. The link is below. Thank you, everyone. I am your host, the Carolina Collector. Take care, everybody.